Good morning. I'm Jason Adkins. I'm a staff attorney with the Institute for Justice Minnesota chapter. The Institute for Justice is the nation's leading legal advocate for the rights of small businesses and entrepreneurs in both the courts of law and the courts of public opinion. The Institute for Justice litigates dozens of cases nationwide defending economic liberty, the right to pursue a lawful occupation free from unreasonable government regulation and interference. To illustrate the struggles that entrepreneurs and small businesses face nationwide, and the types of cases the Institute for Justice litigates, today we are releasing 8 city studies chronicling the way in which local governments strangle small businesses in red tape and regulation. The city of Milwaukee is no different. That's why I've authored this study. Unhappy Days for Milwaukee Entrepreneurs: How Brew City Regulations Prevent Local Entrepreneurs from Living the High Life. The report chronicles the way in which the city of Milwaukee government puts barriers in the way of small businesses' success. Milwaukee ensnares small businesses in a complex maze of regulatory red tape that not only puts barriers in the way of existing businesses and their success, but it also prevents businesses from getting off the ground. For example, the city of Milwaukee is very restrictive in its street and sidewalk vending laws. It ensnares businesses and would-be vendors in a series of regulations and licenses that prevent them from even starting. And in fact, in Milwaukee, only 2 vendors have sidewalk permits to actually engage in vending. It requires the express permission of the alderman as well as adjacent business owners. Another example is food service. Food service, if you want to start a restaurant or any type of other business, there are many different licenses that prevent these businesses from getting off the ground because it's just simply so expensive to comply. Milwaukee also forbids new taxi drivers from starting their own taxi companies by artificially placing a cap on the number of taxis that exist in the city of Milwaukee. These sorts of regulations, which are vital sources of jobs and employment for groups like for immigrants and minorities lower on the socioeconomic ladder, really prevent folks from having a real economic opportunity, and these laws need to be changed. Not only does Milwaukee put barriers in the way of people starting out in business, but they make it difficult to run business once you actually have started them. For example, Milwaukee has a ridiculously restrictive and expensive sign code that regulates how much signage you can put in your store window and imposes tremendous fees and costs on folks that are trying to just put up signs, even temporary signs, in front of their businesses. No signage is ultimately going to result in no business for a lot of these startup businesses, and Milwaukee's sign code needs to be scrapped. One of the most egregious ways in which Milwaukee puts the clamp down on the growing and thriving small businesses is the rules regarding home-based businesses. In these economic times, when so many knowledge workers are being laid off or having to find alternative careers, home-based businesses give people a great opportunity to reinvent themselves, to start new careers, and to engage in a new occupation. And they can do that in their homes. They may not have the startup capital to actually rent commercial space. Milwaukee, however, puts ridiculous restrictions on the amount of floor space that can be actually used for a business, the amount of space that can be used in a garage for storage. It limits the amount of non-related people that can work in a business. It forbids signage in residential home businesses, and it limits the amount of deliveries that can take place as well. These regulations are preventing many operations from even starting if they want to operate legally, but most problematic is it's making many would-be entrepreneurs operate illegal. That is a problem, and if the city of Milwaukee really wants to contribute to its job base and help people in tough economic times, relaxing its home business restrictions is absolutely essential. Milwaukee not only makes it hard to get in business and stay in business, Milwaukee makes it hard to go out of business. In fact, the city of Milwaukee requires a license to have a going out of business sale just for the privilege of telling people that you're closing. This cruel failure tax requires all businesses that are closing and having closing sales to pay a flat fee plus $2 for every $1,000 of inventory. This is a significant penalty to pay just to be able to tell people you're going out of business, and really results in nothing more than kicking businesses when they're down. The irony of all these regulations is that Milwaukee is spending over $100 million a year in economic development efforts trying to create jobs. To do so, though, of course, it has to tax and gain money from existing businesses, making it even harder for those existing businesses to stay and succeed. This is an absolute problem because the real stimulus program, the real stimulus for jobs and opportunity is not throwing money at existing businesses in a game of corporate welfare. It's removing the barriers and the red tape, fostering jobs and entrepreneurship. Government doesn't create jobs, people create jobs. In tough economic times, government needs to get out of the way and let the can-do spirit of Milwaukee and Wisconsin residents do what they do best, creating jobs and opportunity for themselves and others. Right now, people are clamoring for both limited government and greater economic opportunity. Fostering entrepreneurship is something that doesn't cost taxpayers a dime and at the same time increases the tax base. The city of Milwaukee should adopt the common sense reforms in this report and give greater opportunity to Milwaukee citizens and work with the state of Wisconsin to help others engage in their chosen profession and lawful occupation. I'm going to turn the mic over now to two entrepreneurs who've suffered at the hands of Milwaukee regulations, Laura Sue Mosier and Mohammed Khan. Laura?
Good morning. Welcome to the Shuster Mansion Bed and Breakfast. My name is Laura Sue Mosier, and I am the innkeeper and owner of this mansion. My husband and I came here from the Chicagoland area to Milwaukee to open up a bed and breakfast. And when we arrived here, we started to restore the mansion, getting it prepared for our guests, and we were opened in July of 2008. But during that time, while we were restoring, we were also having both full-time jobs. Little did we know that as we were restoring and preparing the mansion, that the city would be knocking on our door very soon. The biggest thing that our guests have asked us, what do we like or dislike about owning the bed and breakfast? And that's so very easy to answer. First of all, taking care of our guests is such a breeze. The problem is, and I hate to say this, it's the city. The demands and the criterias and the red tape that we have to follow is almost become another full-time job. Some of the things that we have to deal with is, for instance, as you walked in, we have a big sign in our front window. The city would not let us put that sign in our front yard. We are taxed for every personal item in this mansion. That means that we are having to pay tax on the silverware that our guests use. The other issue that we deal with is we have already gone to court with the city because the city does not like the time frame that we are preparing and restoring the mansion, and they have their own, and since we did not do it in their time frame, they have already taken us to court. So we wonder, okay, we open this wonderful bed and breakfast. Our goal is to make it a destination when you come to Milwaukee. And as we improve the building, as we improve the inside, as we improve what is going on here, we are noticing that our taxes are being raised, we're having to pay extra fees, we're having to pay extra other fees because of the red tape that's going on. So we're wondering, what is our incentive for wanting to make this a better place to live and to offer to our guests, as well as a benefit to the community? So what we would like to say is we don't understand why we are willing to sacrifice our time and sacrifice our lives and our money to make this a much beautiful place for the city of Milwaukee. But we just feel like as we are struggling to do this, where is the city? We don't feel like they're walking alongside us in this wanting to be a better place for Milwaukee.
Hi, my name is Mohammed Khan. I'm a native of Pakistan but now live in the United States. I came here and started a business, went into business, and I guess turned over restaurants and ran restaurants for quite a while. Finally, we thought we were going to open our own hot dog stand in a small little restaurant. So we found a place in downtown Milwaukee, which was previously a restaurant but didn't do well because of health code violations. And we thought we will be able to turn it over. And we started the work on it, and someone came over and told us that we should have the alderman on our side, which was a little surprising because this wasn't the third world. But it just happened, and we said, okay, we'll take care of the alderman once we have followed every rule and law and the book and just got to get our licenses and do everything that we need to do first. And we started renovating the place, rebuilding the place. Took a lot of time and effort. And one day we were open. We made it through. We got all our licenses and permits, and just 1 hour in the business, we had a health department official stop by and tell us that our license was being revoked. It was pulled out, and I asked the reason. They said the alderman doesn't like it, and he wants a classier joint here, I guess, and he wants you to tear down this building and build a new one. That didn't make much sense. We thought, okay, if this is going to become a legal matter, then let's see what happens. And we were finally referred to a licensing committee, where it was like being in front of a jury, a criminal right there. And on one side was the alderman who was pleading his case that I should not be in his area and it is going to breed crime. And on the other side, there were 4 more aldermen who were listening to him speak. So in a way, it was like a big family that you were against. And I kind of figured the outcome there and then, because of course it was a 6-hour hearing, and yet the license was denied on no grounds that we could figure out. They had testimony from people which we had no clue. But that is how Milwaukee is, I guess, unless and until you are in the good graces of an alderman, or he does have the privilege to shut you down, which we found out firsthand. And well, I guess the rest of the story is all out now, and everyone knows how we went through this. And I hope no one else has to go through this again in Milwaukee. And thank you.
Thank you, Laura Sue. Thank you, Mohammed, for your stories. As you can tell from listening to them, much work needs to be done in Milwaukee, and we hope that the city of Milwaukee and the state of Wisconsin will consider the common sense reforms that we've suggested in this report. For more information about the Institute for Justice, you can visit our website, www.ij.org, and for more information on the city studies, visit www.ij.org/city studies. Thank you very much.